Alrighty. What is happening, party people? Y'all give me 1 second. I'm out here trying to get some of this stuff going here. For some reason my Elgato is not working. And I don't know why. I'm having some you got me so excited. Now it's just me and you. What's happening?
In my little bloom socks.
Yeah, you gave them to me and I never won. I never won. No, gang. No. Yeah. No, you straight. You ain't in the way. You not in the way. Trying to figure out why is my stuff just like not working right now, but we gonna figure it out. What's happening, everybody? Well, I got a white screen I'm looking at on my Instagram live, and YouTube is taking some time to load. So I don't know what's happening, but we're gonna figure it out. What's happening, party people? Welcome in to another episode of the Secure Show, where we are here to build healthier, happier, and whole relationships with yourself, God, and others while building security that lasts beyond marriage. And it's gonna be a fun time. Um, got an interesting topic from yesterday that I wanted to double down on today, and I kind of want some stuff to work, but we'll see what happens. So we're here for a good time, not a long time. Hope you guys are well. Happy Friday. Um, as always, be sure to come in and drop your life satisfaction rate on a scale of 1 to 10. How you feeling? Coming into another weekend at the end of another week. August is almost here. That means we only got about maybe like 4 good months of oh well, including August, was that 5 good months left of 2026, and it has came and went. And whew, we got some stuff that we want to unpack and prepare, not just for the next year, but so that you can actually begin experiencing the best relationships that you possibly could today. You don't have to wait until, you know, the new year in order to experience a new you. All right. You can actually experience that today. And so we are on our way to building that. And another conversation is just another seed planted for us to do just that. So, again, welcome in everybody in the space. Glad to have you. Glad to see you. Invite your friends, share the live, like the live, repost it if you're on YouTube. Appreciate you so much for the view, the like, the subscribe, all the things over on Instagram, following, liking, sharing, all the things. Um, my Instagram just like literally kind of crashed on me a little bit. So now it looks like we're okay. I hope. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, just you needed to get some things coming along. Thank you for the heart, me, Alicia. Alicia, is it Alicia or Alicia? Which one? I want to get your name right because names are important. And I appreciate you for showing up and being consistent in the live. Like you've been showing up and showing out over these last few. Alicia, did I say that first? I'm forgetting. Or Alicia. All right, now I know which one I said first. Okay, no. Uh, I'm trying to figure it out. Okay, one if it's Alicia, two if it's Alicia. That'll simplify it. Ah, that nice pronunciation. Thank you so much. I appreciate you a ton. Um, thank you for the love and the support. Thank you for showing up, being a part of these streams. I hope you've been getting something out of these conversations. Hope you've been hearing something very valuable. I think you have. Either otherwise, you may not be here. So I appreciate you a ton. Thank you so much for everybody, all the love, all the support. Um, we're actually, if you guys pay attention to the channel, okay, I'm actually as per request, just one request, but I actually want to put it to the test, see what happens. I'm gonna start taking note of Ooh, let's talk about it, Natalie. Hold up. Let's talk about it. Hold on, I'm about to invite you up. Is that cool? Let's talk about it. I want to start putting up these somewhat some prompts or something like that alongside the story post. So be sure to follow because that's going to be a way to continue to engage beyond the lives. Just to hear you guys' thoughts on so many different things that we talk about in the stream and maybe some hot topics that we are wanting to unpack, address, and give some perspective to. Um, and we're going to be able to move forward from there. Okay. Um, so my goal is to stop playing. What's happening, Natalie? Are you able to come up? What we talking about here? Hey, 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 how are you? I'm doing well. I cannot complain. Welcome to the show. What's up? What you done playing about and dating and all the things?
I used to be in a lot of like real serious relationships. I almost got married and everything. So then I took a break, and when I came back as like a demon because now I don't have one boyfriend. I got three, and they're kind of spread out. And I'm like, I'm doing too much, and I know I'm doing too much.
Okay. Yeah.
But it's not. No,
Okay.
I don't.
Yeah, what would you say is your like biggest question or concern or thing you might want to address with that? Noticing you got multiple boyfriends at different places and like, hey, I gotta slow down.
Realistically, it's like I feel like this ain't even my character, so and I'm like, but I'm enjoying it at the same time. So I'm so confused about. I'm confusing myself because I'm like, this isn't how I am, but at the, like I said, like same time, I'm like, this is so much fun to be evil for a second. And to be fair, I'm not playing with anybody. I know this gonna be like, I know they're playing me too. Like one's in Chicago, one's in New Jersey, and then I got one in my city. You ain't gonna tell me you don't got no anybody else in your state, right?
How do you know that
So,
though?
and I already know the one girl. Well, I know the one girl that he's talking to, the one in
Okay.
Chicago. Her name's Savannah, actually. So it's like I I'm also not picking people that I know are I also not picking people that I know I'm gonna be hurting at the same time. You know what I'm saying?
But yet there's still a disconnect because you realize what you're doing isn't healthy.
Yes, I'm still like I'm in therapy too. So me and my therapist be talking about this all the time because I'm like I don't know why I just can't just like just pick one and get it together. You know?
How long you been in therapy?
Oof, like over 10 years. I've been in since I was a teenager.
Okay, wait. And is it the same therapist?
Yeah,
And you've been struggling with this for how long?
it's literally only been like maybe 3 months.
Okay. And what do you feel like led you to make the decision to have multiple boyfriends at once?
To be fair, like before this, I was just like focusing on like work and like other stuff, and I didn't put no time into myself. I wasn't dating. I didn't date for like 5 years or nothing. Like I was just work, 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 doing what I had to do, whatever. And then I like woke up one day and was like, "Yo, I'm not doing nothing. Like, what is going on? Like, I'm not doing no self care. I'm not putting no time." So like, I let myself go a little bit. So I'm like, I need to go back into the gym. I started journaling, was in the gym, and like started reconnecting. And then at the same time, I started like dipping my toes in the water, you know, just to see like, okay, like it's been a long time. Let me see what's out there. Let me see what the vibe is. And instantly was met with bullshit. So then I had to take a step back. And then I was like, okay, well, if I'm gonna go out there, then a player's not gonna be played. You know, we're just gonna we're gonna follow the energy. And that kind of like I found myself. I'm like, I never did this before, so like maybe I should try it. But then I'm like, okay, but like this is also kind of crazy. Like, who am I?
Yeah. No, there definitely is a lot of cognitive dissonance and some confusion going on, but I would say what are your what well, I guess we'll start here. What do you value when it comes to relationships and connections in and of itself?
I think honestly, I do tend to value my friendships over my romantic relationships. So I feel like that has to be a core part. And I think a lot of the times I skipped that in my past relationships, like to be good friends or like best friends. You know what I'm saying? And then just like having, I'm real big about communication too, which is why it's like so like crazy that I'm like acting this way and like lying and being this person, because it's like that's my whole thing. We communicate, we talk, we are supposed to be on the same team, and it's like what the fuck, you know?
Hmm. Okay. So you value friendship as a big important part of the aspect of building a romantic relationship. I heard that correctly. Okay. So let's just do a thought experiment, right? So, and this can be this. I want you to answer this with like no limitations, right? No right or wrong answers to this. What has to be true in your mind and perspective and lens on life and relationships to have three boyfriends at once that you recognize this ain't right? Yeah. Yeah. So when I ask this, like, what has to be true? So this is an aspect of like there's various things that have to make sense to us or that has to be truthful in the life that we live for us to behave the way we do. For example, if I am someone who gives $10 to somebody on the street, some like the belief that has to be true in my mind that gives me permission to give this $10 is that it's going to be helpful. Generosity is beneficial. This person needs this $10 more than me. Okay. Another example, if I am going to the weight room and lifting weights and working out, okay, that's a routine that I've built. What has to be true to give myself permission to then go to the weight room and make that a routine is that fitness is important and that there's some kind of value to exercising mentally, emotionally, spiritually, all the things. And it doesn't have to have any kind of limitations, but we're just identifying what has to be true to give ourselves permission to do certain things. Just like there's certain things that has to be true for us not to do certain things. Like, for example, there's a world maybe that Natalie is like on the street doing drugs. Like, but that's such a low bar. Natalie probably doesn't maybe think of that, right? Or that's not even if you think about maybe if it's not drugs, it's maybe something different. Okay, like there's something that Natalie is like, no matter how bad life gets, I would never do this. And that's because there's something we have to believe to be true that gives us the invitation to not engage in that. Whether that's about ourselves, about the world around us, about what would happen, the consequences, whatever the case is. Does that make sense? Okay. So now, with that in mind, what has to be true in order to give yourself permission to say, I could have three boyfriends in three different states and three different areas? And even though I know this isn't right, it's fun. What has to be true about relationships, men, yourself, name it.
That's literally what my therapist is saying too. It's like you just need to give it. You're looking for permission, and realistically, I feel like. All right, I want to answer this honestly. So let me try to break it down. Like
Yeah.
I feel like who I am. I don't know the exact thing that's gonna like give me permission. I will say that the boundary I set for myself is that I'm not gonna intentionally like lead someone on that I know is being serious. You know, like I try to like do my best to like be respectful in that mindset. Like I know, you can always tell a lot of times by energy. So like that's my boundary within myself. But to give myself full permission, I feel like I'm giving myself like my shadow side, like this darker part of me, like permission, and I'm like repeating a pattern that I've seen before. If that makes sense. Not for me personally, but like like my dad and like all that other stuff. So it's like I'm struggling, I think, most with that like part of it. So I can't fully give myself permission. So I don't know what the exact thing is. But I can admit to myself now that like I do like it because of the thrill that I get. If that makes sense.
So you like it because of the thrill, but there's a part of you that is still yet to give yourself full permission to indulge in it, and you don't know what it is.
Yeah.
Okay. So, well, let's dig a little deeper. So when we talk about the thrill of it, um, what what does that mean to you? engaging in this thrill? What does that do for you?
Realistically, I don't feel like it's in a way. Like, I always had like they're reliable, so to let go for less time or while I'm engaging in this like activity, it gives me that escape, I guess.
Okay, so it gives
You
you
know what
say
I'm saying?
that.
Like it just
Yes,
gives me
say
that
that again.
escape that I think I needed or missed out on.
Okay, say that last part again. It gives you what?
Excitement I feel like I missed out on.
Okay.
Excitement.
Excitement that you feel you missed out on. So we're getting somewhere with that. So excitement that you feel like you missed out on. And what do you feel like that means about you? If you missed out on this excitement, then what?
I don't know what it means about me personally. Like I think it's more so the fact that I don't want to regret not doing things that I thought. Not that I necessarily thought I would be doing this, but like experiences that I feel like like I said, like I missed out on. Like I don't want to look back and be like I did fucking nothing, and I did like, and I didn't even attempt to take a risk. I didn't attempt to do nothing, and this is like a really dramatic way to do that, but it fits into my life right now, so that's why I find it also easier to do. Like you know what I'm saying? So it, I don't know, like it's not. Obviously, I don't want to be this way forever, but I just want to like be able to like, okay, yeah, I did take that risk. I did do the stupid things because there's so many things that I could have done that I feel like were exciting, even whatever, like back, when I was in college and stuff that I just didn't do, and I wish I did. And even if they were reckless or stupid, like it was still an experience I wish I would have had versus the experiences I did have. And I feel like I have so many bad experiences piled up that I'm like, okay, well, I need to like control it in a way that suits me, if that makes sense.
And so controlling it in a way that suits you in this aspect because of how much has happened to you is to be as unserious as possible in relationships. I just want to make sure I get that correct.
It's not just that unserious as possible, but it's like kinda, I guess. Like I'm just like unserious, but I'm also like it's not the only stuff I'm doing. Like I'm actually going out now, and like I never really been outside, so I've been outside, like doing all the stuff that like is just thrilling in a way that I'm like these are better experiences to be having.
Okay. So, yeah, I listening to that, there's an identity somewhere that we are connecting with. I think it's important to point out, and I'm not necessarily here to like fill in the blanks. I think it's more so where you are, and like maybe if it's something that fits where you are. So I want to take a couple guesses, all right, and let me know if anything lands. So the aspect of wanting these experiences or experiencing this thrill, this excitement, because it's better to live without regrets than to live with them. Or it's better to, say I had the experience than to wish I could experience it and didn't. And maybe that, I just want to throw a few guesses. This is the first guess that life as it is for you isn't enough because maybe there's an aspect that you don't believe you are enough to an extent. Where does that land?
I feel like to a certain extent, maybe. Like I feel like I got to a point where I know like my worth in a sense, and I know what I'm valued or whatever, and I try not to put my value on other people. But at the same time, I will agree that like life isn't enough right now.
Okay. So life isn't enough right now. There's an idea and belief that you need more. And it can also sometimes correlate to not feeling like you are enough as you are. Okay. Let's throw another guess out there. Let's just see where it lands. A belief that without experiencing what you fear you're missing out on, life will always remain incomplete.
Oh yeah, for sure. I feel like I always have FOMO for life.
Okay. Now, let me ask you this just based off of those two identifiers, where it seems like these behaviors are more so coming from the idea that life isn't enough to an extent we aren't enough as we are, and life can't ever be fulfilled without experiencing these things we fear we're missing out on. Does this reflect more of decisions coming from lack or coming from abundance?
I feel like it's definitely coming from a feeling of lack, but at the same time, I'm in a place where I'm like abundant enough to do it because I don't feel like I could have before it either. If that makes any type of sense.
Well, I understand what you're saying. However, the challenge there, the hole in that is believing that because we are able to do it, that means that we're abundant. And
Okay.
not everything that we do or not everything that we have the ability to do doesn't necessarily mean that we're abundant in it. Okay. For example, um, let's just take money. There's plenty of people who have a lot of money and are really stable in their finances, make millions of dollars, and yet still live like they live paycheck to paycheck. They have the ability, because of the resources they have available to them, to spend a lucrative amount of money and it wouldn't even be a thought. But even though they have the ability, they're still not abundant because they're still clinging and identifying to the number in their account that keeps them from, let's say, moving generously, being open handed, or even doing as much as investing their money into healthier places. They have the ability to do a lot with their money, but they're not abundant in their money because it's something that they still cling to and identify with. So in in the same way that we can look at money and say, well, just because someone has a lot of money doesn't mean that they're abundant. We can also look at the everyday life that we experience, not having nearly as much money, and saying, well, because I'm in a position to do, doesn't always mean that I'm doing it from a place of abundance or in the lane of abundance, because that's not coming from a place of openness, a place of full authenticity. It's actually coming from a place of, I'm afraid of what will happen in the event that I don't experience this. And I'm afraid that I have to stay in a lane of constantly living in performative duties to not just prove my worth to some extent, even though I logically am aware that I have some type of worth to my life, but that I also have to prove my worth in the sense of maybe the tallying of these experiences and hoping that experiencing enough of them will bring me a sense of fulfillment. But we know at the end of the day, okay, like, and you've seen this, like, from relationship to relationship, person to person. This isn't something we have to move in theory. You've seen this where you go from, you exceed a mountain, like, okay, cool. You mentioned even almost getting married. So like you've been to some different milestones that a lot of people are still trying to strive for that you've experienced. You've been engaged, you have had relationships, and now we're at a pinnacle where we're like, hey, I'm able to maintain three different relationships with three different people, and just the idea and the dopamine of the risk factor is what has me feeling alive. Okay, but notice how it doesn't stop there. Like, there was a different mountain for every situation that you started looking at and started convincing yourself you needed to get there in order to not just revitalize this feeling of thrill we're experiencing, but to also experience something meaningful in life that feels like it's adding additional meaning to your life. But there isn't a mountain that you've looked at that has made you say, all right, that's good. Because now we've had the three relationships, and now we're like, I'm still confused and I still don't feel like this is fulfilling something.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Yeah. So that's why I'm saying, when we asking these questions to just expose it is really like, again, not to again, we could have a conversation on like how right or wrong having multiple people in a relationship is. I mean, again, there's so many different things that are out here today. Without going so far into that, I just think we're asking a very simple question regarding you. How healthy is the decision we're making? And if we're deeming it to be healthy, where does that stem from? But since we've just identified that it's coming more from lack than abundance, fully, like if we had to put a percentage, it's over 90% lack. what we're running into is we're making this decision from an unhealthy place. And so it's only reiterating the confusion and the lack of rest and peace that you say you kind of want to experience. You're just not in position to.
Yeah, you're right. That's literally about like how I'm feeling. Because I think what gets me is that when I think about like being serious, right? When I think about actually like going back and like trying again or whatever, that gives me too much anxiety. So I'm like, no, I can't do that. I can't be doing that. I'm not. That feels suffocating. But this feels free. Like I still can move how I want to move and still do this. That's where I'm like, okay. But I also know I need to get to a place eventually. Like obviously on my own time to get there where like I don't feel that way no more.
Yeah, so I'm glad you said it and I didn't have to say it, right? Because it is a lot of fear of the level of certainty or uncertainty that seriousness has probably brought in the past. A lot of this is coming from a place of pain. I would much rather believe that fun and enjoyment and abundance is wrapped in having more than one because at least I don't have to fully invest energy, time, and effort into somebody and then them just drop me off. And now I feel like I have to start over again. I have to heal again. I have to do all these other things. And sometimes that pain um, kind of in our minds outweighs some of the realities of what we really want to experience. So it's better to just leave that alone, go the full opposite direction than to invest in one person again. And so now that we are aware of that, and like maybe you've been aware of that, maybe this is your first time or one of few times you've been able to put words to that. Here's the thing. Yes, we can come to this place on our own time, and I think all of us do. I think that's what makes the healing journey legitimate, right? Like we're actually making authentic change and making different decisions. I just want you to consider the risk of moving with that belief that is constantly really reiterating and retraining your mind and your brain that it's okay to keep putting things off that we already know we need to address.
No, yeah, I know that. Me and my therapist talk about that's probably my biggest like red flag, whatever you want to call it. Like I do when it comes to work and stuff, I'm on it. Like I'm very type A, but when it comes to that emotional aspect, I'm just like, okay, well, if I don't have to deal with it right now, I'm not going to.
Yeah, and we see how the at the end of the of that road, I mean, we can just go down the list of what that continuously costs us, right? Like it costs us one the ability to find the right person that's worth and willing to commit to. Perhaps it costs us the peace that we are constantly delaying, the rest and relaxation. This is spelling out for even more chaos staying in this rain in this lane in this arena, okay, with these three different guys and maybe even more down the road. It keeps us in this loop and cycle where we're just willing to deal with the lack instead of actually move in abundance that we are aware of and we can actually move in. Um, this is really, really important because if once we're aware, we are now in control. Like we have the ability to make a different decision to create the result and the life we really want. And I think we all are able to make the decisions that we want, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it's the most beneficial to the life that we say we want. And so I think you have to get clear on the life you want and what you want to experience. And I'm not saying that to choose that from a lens of, well, I don't want to experience this because of the pain I've once had. Like, no, if we're just with all the relationships and all of the areas and dimensions of your life being exactly how you would want them to be, what are you experiencing? Because we could easily argue that the thrill, the excitement, and all the things that you're having dating three guys, you would actually have in so much more investing into one person. And not so much so because you're in a monogamous relationship compared to the variety of other relationships. I think it's more of trusting your ability to recover in the event that something would go wrong. Because that's kind of what we're saying. It's not necessarily that I'm afraid it brings too much anxiety to think about a monogamous relationship or intentionally investing into one person. I think what's creating the anxiety is more so of the belief that you aren't able to recover in the event that something in that relationship would go wrong, or the belief that that would expose again, man, I chose wrong and I can't trust myself to choose healthily.
Yeah, I gotta trust myself.
That's typically what it is.
I trust myself with so much stuff, but when it comes to this, because it's like, I'll be honest, like I got played hard. Like he was a true narcissist in every way that actually mattered. That people throw that word around so casually. Like, oh, they're a narcissist. And no, like he's actually like diagnosed. Like he got diagnosed. And that changed my brain chemistry. And I mean that I could pinpoint the exact moment my brain chemistry changed, and I'll never forget it because it's like the craziest moment of my life to feel that. So it's like when it comes to that, because I was doing everything I thought was right. Like I was in therapy, I would talk about the problems, I was communicative, like I was doing what you're supposed to do, and he pretended. So I'm thinking like, cool. Now it's like, well, I can't really trust myself because what like look what happened last time. So it's like, okay, yeah, I know I need to work on it, but it's just like, well, then how do I do that? And then I'm like, okay, well, I know what I need to do. I know what I need to focus on. But it's like, can I do that? Am I in a place right now to do that? I don't know if I am. That's where I think I get stuck the most.
Well, okay, I hear you on that. I would say you are, and I would argue that you are in a position to deal with that. And proof of it is because we're taking that same energy we could apply here into entertaining three different people that we aren't even actually wanting to move intentionally towards, even though they may or may not be aware of what's going on. The like energy transfers. Some of the things that we believe we aren't in a position to do is the story we tell ourselves because of maybe one of a few things. We're afraid to finally address it. We're scared of the unknown. It's uncertainty, all the different things. And our brains wire with that. The stories settle in with that. But the same energy that we're putting into a version of life that we're seeing isn't really getting us closer to where we want to be or who we want to be and is leaving us in clouds of confusion. That is actually where that energy is going, among other places. And if we were able to make a decision on not just removing certain things, but taking that same energy and applying it to what we know we need best, we're actually starting to see a shift and change. And how to do that is very tangible and practical. It really isn't something that we need to put on shelves or we need to use big language around to make ourselves sound better or further ahead than we are. I think the applicability is learning to build that self confidence starts in the smallest things, starts in making some of the more tougher decisions now with what you see, making decisions based off of what you value and coming into agreement with that and doing that over and over again. Sometimes we think it's just one decision, but it's really a daily decision, repetition and consistency that our bodies begin to adjust to because our bodies and brain only recognize what we do intentionally and what we do repetitively. So if we get into this practice, this is what builds our confidence to be able to see things for what it is, make healthy decisions, and trust ourselves in the process to recover. If one day we make a decision on somebody and it made sense once upon a time, and later it doesn't. And like this is a recovery thing and a process thing, not something that's overnight. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I
So
agree.
I would say this. 'Cause I'm not one to step on professional toes. You said you've been in therapy for 10 years. Has it been helpful?
Oh yeah, that man has been the most consistent adult in my life. Put it that
Mm,
way. And
okay.
it's like even when I was like homeless and couldn't afford nothing, he was like, I don't care. You need to be like, I'm not just gonna abandon you type stuff. And that was like, and like he never crossed my boundaries. Like that was just something that I think that as a professional, like he knew that I needed to like get me through the next point. And I have a lot of respect for him and like everything he does. And he's super helpful. But he's also the one thing that I love that is that he's so honest. Like he'll call me on my shit. He's not like the therapist that's just gonna be like, okay, well, how do you feel? Okay, that's something like there's no thing design. Otherwise, I can't do it.
Okay. Yeah. So it sounds like it's been
Conversation, conversations like let's say he plans eventually they grow. Like maybe not in the moment, not growing them yet, but I'm planting them, and then in the moment ignoring them. Eventually, I'm like, oh, like, no, I'll go back to there, like, okay, it's now blossomed. I get what you were saying, what we talked about before. Like, now I'm finally here. And he's like, okay, good. Now what's the next step? How do we continue on to like, nurture the thing we just grew? So I find it beneficial. I know it's a me thing. I know that man's probably tired of me, but it's
Yeah. And so I think the beautiful thing is that when we know it's a me thing and we know it's a problem or we are faced with a problem that we have the ability to solve, a problem with a solution, as my good friend Dr. Elijah would say, is a choice. A problem with a solution is a choice. And oftentimes we don't have the problem like we say we do. And this is my little remix to it. We just often disguise, disregard, or dismiss what we need to do because of the uncertainty, fear, or challenges that await. That is actually us getting to the freedom that we really want. And again, I'm not one to step on professionals' toes. You say it's helpful. I want to believe that 1,000%. But this is something that I literally specialize in helping people deal with from a tangible, practical journey. Because it's one thing, I think, if any time that we are self-aware of behaviors and experiences that we're in, why we're in it, why it's not healthy, and we're choosing still not to make the decision necessary to get aligned with where we want to go, not only is it a us problem, but we have a issue with, not even an issue, we probably don't even see it as an issue. We just, for lack of better terms, like the dysfunction that we're in. And of course, that comes to decisions and all the things that we need to make. But you said something interesting in our conversation of just simply not maybe knowing fully how to kind of integrate these things and build that self confidence, build that trust in order to make healthier decisions. And this is something that I tangibly do with all my clients, and they've seen amazing results in being able to grow confident in that. And I think it's more so of a nervous system practical thing than anything else. And when we engage in that, I think it makes a world of difference for you to not just make a decision on this kind of relationship that you're in, but I think also trust yourself to be able to experience the love you've always wanted. That previous hurt has maybe turned you away from, that deep down you still want to experience, just not like that again. And I think there's a way that we can experience that with a version of you that trusts yourself and your decision making in the process. So um, I encourage you to book a session. I
I
encourage
think
you.
about it. I genuinely like you're very it's one thing to talk with you need a second opinion sometimes. Like you need or just to talk it out with somebody else. And I do because I'm like listening and I'm just like I'm really upset. I'm like, yeah, like I know you're right. I know you're right. Like I know it's just different when you hear it out loud. That's what I'm trying to say.
Absolutely. Yeah, it is very different when you hear it out loud. And I think it would be even more different when you're able to see it and then put literal practical steps to it that makes it hard for us to even repeat certain decisions that we've made previously that guarantees different results. So what I encourage you to do is go to the top of my page. All right. The link in my bio. And if you click that, you'll book a one-on-one call and we'll go from there. 60 minutes. One conversation literally is the difference between where you are and where you want to be. And it sounds like we got to some core beliefs, perspectives, and things like this. And in order for us to take it to the next step, it's going to happen with us being able to put some practicality behind it and not to take away from what you're getting in therapy. It sounds like it's doing its part to add to it. I think therapy and coaching go hand in hand, and I think you're going to see leaps and bounds of differences that allows you to be able to make these decisions from a healthier place and not necessarily conflate freedom with the ability to do, because I think oftentimes freedom isn't determined by what we are able to do, is determined by what we are capable of doing that remains in alignment with who we are and where we are. I think that's legit freedom. And sometimes fear of missing out can cause us to be like that, the opposite. And if we can make decisions in full abundance, I think you see a difference in your relationships all the way around and within yourself.
Yeah, no, I agree. 'Cause it's like that saying. It's like when you're an adult, you can have cake for dinner, but as an adult, you shouldn't eat the whole cake for dinner. Like you have the freedom to do it, but you know the limitation. And that I never did well with gray. That's my problem. It's black and white with me sometimes, and I'm like, now I'm in this gray, and I'm like, but I agree with you saying.
Yeah, yeah, and I just wouldn't want to put it off longer and longer because I just think it draws out the inevitable. And a lot of the things that we're most afraid of experiencing, we're actually closer to experiencing the more that we delay. And so, I think this will be a benefit. I think if you got something out of this, I think you'll get 10x that if we get on a session. 60 minutes is all we need, and we go from there. And really put this into tangible, practical stuff to get you to build and rebuild that confidence that's missing for you to trust yourself in choosing the right person because you are the right person. And it's available for you. Okay, come on, come on, let's talk. All right, book is look, not book, look, book. What am I trying to say? Go to the top of the page. All right, just on the bio and the link tree, and then click book one-on-one call, and then pick a day that works best for you. All right. We should. I would love for us to connect within like the next week. But again, if not, any day works. Okay. If it's not in the next week, pick a day that works best for you, and let's connect. And I would love to work with you. Okay. All right. Was this helpful?
It was helpful, very helpful.
I appreciate you a ton. Any other things, any other thoughts, any other questions, don't hesitate to drop them in the chat. And we'll talk soon. I'm looking forward to seeing you on the books. Okay. All right. Take it easy. Hey, man, y'all put a one in the chat for Natalie in the TikTok chat, man. That's good. That's really good. Um, Again, I think like this is the stuff that we have to be able to create spaces for us to be able to navigate and move through. There's a lot of reasons why we do what we do. And the question on what has to be true, like this is something that we want to see and we want to connect to within our identity from the various things that we do. Right. So, um, for somebody, for instance, for somebody to make a decision, there's probably a couple common experiences that we'll see in life. But for somebody who makes a decision to, let's say, cheat, okay, or move in infidelity behavior within a relationship, yes, our initial reaction as somebody who has invested so much time, attention, resources, and love into somebody, our first reaction is to be like, "You're crazy. That I'm hurt, and I don't want anything to do with you." Like, because now I believe everything that we've created up to this point is a lie. If I have to catch you here and this is what it is, I'm not necessarily obligated, but I think the first thought that comes to mind is I'm gonna have to go back and just revisit all the things that we once created or that we had, and I'm questioning it all because I don't know what's real, right? But if we look at the behavior of infidelity and cheating, regardless of whether or not the person believes what they did was right or wrong, the question that I think is at the top of my mind as someone on the outside looking in is, what did this person have to believe was true about themselves or the relationship that led them to behave in this way? What had to be true? There's a lot of things that could be true, right? They may not identify with it all, but when we ask this question, what has to be true, this gets us to see, oh snap, there's some beliefs, some identities that we're carrying, whether it's from wounds, hurts, pains, past experiences that are actually in the driver's seat. And we did not necessarily, not to say we didn't catch it, but we maybe haven't identified it as clearly as maybe we needed to. Or perhaps we just haven't been as honest about it. And sometimes those pains is what's driving us to make those decisions, driving us to walk away, driving us to leave. For the person that cheated, maybe what has to be true is that no matter what they do in this relationship that they have, they'll never be enough. What has to be true is that they believe that what has to be true is I have to get my person's or my partner's attention, and there's no other way I'm going to get their attention than seeking the attention of someone else who will give their attention to me. I'm so anxiety filled, I'm so clingy that this person isn't responding and supporting to that, so I'm just going to find a way to get back at them through other people. Okay, what they have to believe, what's happening. Allah, good to see you. How you living? Happy Friday. How you feeling on a scale of 1 to 10? Let us know. What's the cheater has to believe to some. Okay, there's a plethora of things. Maybe the cheater believes that this person is going to take them back regardless. So she feels that they're able to just go. Okay, shout out to Natalie who just booked her session. Let's go, Nat. I'm looking forward to our time together. Okay, like they have to believe that this person is going to take them back, and it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter what they do. Okay. Maybe there's a belief for the cheater and that that they're never enough. It doesn't matter what they do. It doesn't matter how well they talk, how close they're connected, how much they try to initiate affection, how much they try to do all these things. It doesn't matter, right? I see you, Natalie. Shout out to you. Appreciate you a ton. I'm looking forward to our session. That's what I'm talking about, man. Y'all act, move. That's what I'm talking about. Locked in. And it's gonna be a good time. I'm looking forward to it. So what I'm getting to you guys though is that a lot of the decisions that we make, the things that we say we never do versus the things that we say we wish to do, but we don't feel we're in position to do, the borders and ceilings, the floors and ceilings that maybe connect to our identity. These are the things, man, that give us permission that to act and behave in specific ways. And I think the more that we're curious about it without adding a flood of different levels of condemnation to it, I think that's actually something that pushes us to create the change that we're after. And, it's not to say that all shame and forms of shame is bad. We are in a culture today where, shame in and of itself can be, depending on how much you give and how much is experienced, it can be helpful because it lets us know, like, dang, I'm better than this, right? Guilt. So here's something that's good to know. And I guess I get what people are saying, and I can agree to the sentiment that there's a little bit of shame don't hurt nobody. But however, okay, when we talk about guilt versus shame, this is good. You might want to put this in your notes somewhere, take some notes on it. Guilt, okay, feels bad, all right, about the behavior. Guilt is centered on the behavior. Shame begins to identify with the behavior. So guilt says, I made a mistake. Shame says, I am a mistake. Massive difference. Okay. Shame identifies with the decision and behavior. Guilt just acknowledges the behavior, knowing you can do better, do differently. And this guilt is going to push us to do better because I don't like how this is making me look and seem as an individual. And I think when we have a misconstrued view on our values, who we are, where we are, what we're doing, that these things show up. These things show up, and we have to navigate this, but at an identity level. And I hope that makes sense as we broke that down in that session. Okay. And I appreciate your time. Listen, y'all, I appreciate y'all for jumping in. I think I got some other people in line, so we're going to take some more calls. In the meantime, before we get to the next one, be sure to one, like the live, repost it, share it with others. Two, okay, I actually just want to what was I going to say? Two, if you want a free relational diagnostic, that is also at the top of my page. Click that link tree. Okay. For those of you who are on TikTok and Instagram, and those of you who are on YouTube, it'll be the link in the description. So be sure to check that out. Okay. That'll get you just an opportunity to reveal all the things that you're seeing within patterns in your relationships and be able to do something about them with applicable, tangible steps after taking your questionnaire and getting the free diagnostic. Okay. And you'll also be able to book a free qualification call if you qualify for programs that are here within the coaching program that I want you to be a part of. That will just make a massive difference between where you are and where you're going. So I'm excited about that. And yeah, go to the top of my page and book your session. Okay. If you value and got something out of the call that we just had and more that are on the way, conversations that are on the way, be sure to go to the top of the page and book your session. Okay. I'm excited to spend some time with you and help you through your struggles. Okay. Shout out to Eco in the building. This is a familiar face for those of y'all who have been rocking with your boy. Eco has been a phenomenal supporter of the channel. My guy, how are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you for asking.
Hey, man. I love it. I appreciate you calling up. Any questions? What's going on?
Yeah, maybe I have some questions. I wanted to first and foremost say, man, what you do is amazing. Blessing so many people, giving so much good advice, man, and I really appreciate that. And I'm sure that everybody that tunes in and gets your help really does enjoy that as well.
Hey, man, I appreciate you, man. I appreciate the love, and it goes a long way. So it means a lot. I appreciate you.
I just really like your strategy, brother. Like the way that you approach the questions and things of that nature. It's not like you jump straight to something or whatever. You really listen to people and really get a good feel before you give advice. And I think that that's key.
Yeah, man. I definitely I appreciate that. I've learned a lot, man. Being somebody who has been coached, mentored, all the things, man. I learned a lot from a lot of amazing people, and being able to apply it in situations like this makes all the difference. So I'm glad you guys are getting the benefit from it, and I can't say thank you enough. I appreciate you.
Would it be okay if I touch? I'm not gonna touch like specifically personally on the girl that was just on here, but I listen to a lot of that, and I have some things that I really want to say that aren't necessarily exactly to that, but that I listened to and wanted to say.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, sure, go for it.
So I I feel that a lot of times that we block our blessings by holding up a shield, and sometimes that shield is protecting ourselves from our inner fears from past experiences. And how many times do we live our life and just continue to block? Like if you was to continue putting up that shield and blocking every blessing that you have, you know what I mean? Like we're letting our past affect our present. Because I know from dealing with, extreme PTSD from childhood, and then from childhood past relationships and things of that nature, that I've had to learn that everyone is not the same person. And I wanted to say that because I feel that a lot of times that we will do things, maybe it's like, maybe this is specific, but maybe it is having a couple people involved in your life. That way you're trying to fulfill an empty hole, but really that empty hole comes from, it's an internal thing. And like I really do feel like that happiness, it's the truth that happiness comes from within.
Hmm.
And if what we are trying to fulfill isn't coming from inward, we're just going to continue living an unhappy life. So I just wanted to say that. Like, I'm not trying to preach, man. Like, I just really wanted to say that because I really listened to what she said. And that's just what I wanted to say regarding that.
Yeah, man, I appreciate you sharing that. I think there's a lot of good things in there, man. I think when we ask the questions, with decisions we're making, if it comes from lack or abundance, I think that's a very good perspective to carry with what you spoke to, because what you're really highlighting is a sense of peace, right? And a sense of internal peace that we're able to cultivate, that allows us to actually live from a place of fullness instead of constantly striving or performing for that fullness, whether that is through multiple people in relationships, that is through jobs, money, finances, whatever it is that really fits that hole, and us being able to engage in that. So I think you're spot on with a lot of those thoughts. So I appreciate you dropping that.
So, yes, sir. Absolutely. I'll move on because I do have, let me think if I want to say, I do have, I guess maybe a question slash concern potentially. So the last time we talked was probably a month or two. I would say it's been a little while, um, and I was dealing with some relationship issues um, at the time, and me and that particular girl are together. We're together today. Um, there has been a lot of changes made, um, and a lot of those changes have been me standing firm on my boundaries. When the avoidant thing comes about, when the leaving comes about, when the neglecting, my emotions and only worrying about them, or her, I should say, that became a problem, and I was really losing my identity because I was showing up emotionally, physically. I was trying to meet so many standards that I felt like were impossible.
Mm.
And that's not me just being short lived there. It's just like I was exhausting myself. So, anyways, we've gotten to a better place now that I have set firm boundaries. Like I am respectful about it, but I say like this is what I am willing to tolerate and this is what I'm not. And at the end of the day, like if we can't meet in the middle 50-50 and create happiness for ourselves, then you know, this isn't gonna work. So another layer to this She is now pregnant, and maybe twins. We find out next Wednesday. Um, and I've already got two daughters. So my question is this: getting straight to it. Sorry to go like a long way around it, but my question is: in the past, we've had extreme downs and we've had a pretty bumpy road navigating. But like I said, we're getting better. One of the major issues that we've had was she has a daughter now. I have two daughters now. So the issue has been a separation between my daughters and the way that she feels about them. And a lot of the way she feels about them is based on the way she feels about their mothers. So it kind of goes like it kind of goes into them. And long story short is like getting into creating another life form with her, and there already being an ongoing problem with my children. What would your advice be on the next? I've got several months. She's like 7 weeks, so we got a little bit of time, but we all know time goes by quick.
Yeah.
What would be your advice on that scenario? How would you go about, you know, like what would your advice be on? Let me get the question straight.
Mm-hmm.
On what do you see needing evaluated first and foremost? Would you say it would be what we're going to do with our child, or would it be at this time being very firm on the existing?
Okay. Yeah. So I want to make sure I got the question correctly, as always, before going. So, you're asking basically, uh, how would we go about dealing with the current children's relationship to your current girl,
Yep.
and how to balance that with the children that are on the way.
Yes.
Okay. Um, well, I think the first thing that I want to notice is that you mentioned there's growth and you guys are coming along in the sense of just certain tendencies that you're seeing in the relationship, and so I think that's always a good sign when we're seeing progress in any measurement. Regarding the children, I do want to put this out here again. I'm not a father, but I am around. Uh, well, one of my oldest sister is a single mother of like five children, and just obviously taking care of the nephews and nieces as they come and go. One of the things that I think is really, really important, is that there is a healthy relationship that is cultivated and maintained between, well, first and foremost, you and your children. Um, and then also being able to integrate slowly that level of relationship with the girl you're dating and now who is carrying twins potentially, with them. We have to be able to balance this in a healthy way, and balancing it really looks like, um, just getting. Well, I'll say this. I'll say it in a few different directions. Number one is staying curious about what your current kids need. Your current kids are maybe, and what are their ages, if you don't mind me asking?
12 going on 13 in September and 5.
Okay. All right. So even with that, right? So there's some things that they're going to be seeing, being open to, being curious about as they continue to grow in age. Kids are very, very creative, as we know, and we want to embrace that. And I think your role as their father, is to, one, of course, stay in the present with that, but also stay curious to what they need as this season progresses, because we don't necessarily want to put them on the back burner as we are, trying to cultivate this new pregnancy and kids on the way. And there's a way to have ongoing conversations with them in a way where they understand it and they also don't feel disconnected with you. And one of the best ways to do that is by asking them, even if they can't fully, verbalize it. A 5-year-old probably can't verbalize what they need other than they're hungry, right? Or they're they're tired, right? A 12-year-old a little different. There are some things that you want to just be able to create an open lane to just connect and communicate. Hey, sweetheart, what is it that you feel you need from daddy right now? Is there anything? Is there something that you maybe want more of? And just listen to what she says, because I think that's an opportunity for us to be able to be creative in how we show up in that. Because again, balancing two kids, a pair of kids on the way, and those kids, it can be a lot hectic. The days go by fast. You wake up, go to work, take care of the kids, come home. We got doctor's appointments and visits and all the things. But we definitely don't want to put it in a way where somebody is being prioritized more than the other. And I think the best way that we do that is by knowing what these children currently need, and then of course showing up where you're needed for the upcoming children on the way. Does that make sense?
Yeah, because the last thing that I will do, and this is like just a firm, if you want to even call it a boundary, we'll call
Sure.
it a boundary, is my dad, whenever I was growing up, he basically got with a woman, had a kid, moved away, and then we was basically just, they started a whole new life. And I would never do that. I would never do that. So that is a good point you made. One of the things in the relationship standpoint that I've noticed has been baby steps. I'm not saying that to be mean, but baby steps here is accountability. And it may not be in the moment that I'm seeing it, like at that time, but it's like the day after. And it's like, I'm seeing that, and I'm like, that actually makes me really happy because that's growth here. But there's a lot of changes that needs to be made here, and I'm not being demanding. I'm just analyzing. Like she wants to move in and get a 4 bedroom house, and like I'm just trying to navigate this one step at a time because I'm not trying to let the past, because I even mentioned that, and I would be a hypocrite to say that, but I'm not trying to let the past affect our present, but I'm also not trying to avoid problems, or I don't know, not necessarily problems, but things that need to be addressed.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. So, and when you say things that need to be addressed, is that just towards the living situation or the lack of accountability? Which
Precisely the accountability, I would say. And there's a huge disconnect with my 12-year-old going on 13 because she has a lot of issues, a lot of really bad traumatic things that's gone on in her life. And it has caused her to have certain impulse problems. It has caused her to have a lot of problems in short. And she meaning my girlfriend currently has a hard time even being around her, which is a
one?
huge problem.
Yeah.
Right. And if we're talking about, moving in together, 4 bedroom house, new, babies on the way, combining family, I feel that, and I could get your advice on this. This needs to be addressed now, like absolutely now.
Yeah. I definitely get you on that. And when you say she can't be around her, is it like she gets quickly annoyed? She gets irritated, frustrated? Does it turn into like um a lashing out in any type of way? What would you say are the typical behaviors from your girl
She's
around your
12. My daughter's 12, going on 13. Right. I
Yeah.
mentioned the impulse problems.
Yep.
I am by no means. I am not that dude. I am by no means saying that this is okay. And I want to say that I do address it fully. She has a problem with stealing things.
Okay.
Okay. And that's a major problem. Fully aware of it.
Yeah.
And she took some change out of a jar that was in her room. And this was the last occurrence. And she was like, she can't be doing that. Da 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 da. And she's like, I'm gonna talk to her. I'm gonna talk to her. I was like, absolutely, we can talk to her together if you want. She's like, no, let me talk to her by herself. Talk to her. She said they ironed it out. And then the next day she was like, she's no longer allowed around me, my daughter. She's not allowed here anymore. Period. Like she's just a thief, whatever. And I want to say again, it's not okay. I'm not saying this is okay by saying what I'm about to say, but she's 12 going on 13. Okay. We can address these things as the adults and, lay down whatever that disciplinary action needs to be, not hold a grudge on a 12 going on 13-year-old. Is that right or wrong? Is that the right mentality there?
Yeah, I would say so. Listening to you, yeah, I definitely don't think holding a grudge, because you got to ask from this standpoint. because we could absolutely hold a grudge. It's just what does it do, you know?
Right.
And I think that alone, I think just solves it right there instead of us clinging to whatever we're trying to make her out to be as a result of the behavior. What does it look like for us to team together and make it us versus the problem, because we're not even necessarily making your daughter to be the problem. It's the impulses, it's the other challenges, right? So how do we navigate that together as a family,
Absolutely.
right? As opposed
Yep.
to, hey, we're going to single her out, or we're going to, make her the enemy of the state, of the home, and now she's isolated and all the things. So this is a really good question, and I do think I understand the challenges for sure. Um, and
I'm
I would,
just scared for the future, man. Not to cut
yeah,
you off. I'm just genuinely scared. Not scared as in like I'm sitting here worrying, but like I'm a little concerned more than scared, I guess.
sure.
Moving forward without addressing current situations before, because theoretically speaking, we move forward, these things don't get addressed. Children, the babies are born. Then it's this new thing where it's like, okay, we got our happy little family, kind of like what happened with my dad. And then none of these problems ever got addressed. So then now we're trying to address these situations on top of having an even bigger family.
Yeah, and it just adds a little bit more stress to the things, and it definitely doesn't make it easier. It makes it harder,
Yep.
balancing more kids, more responsibilities, and now these things happening. Yeah, I get you for sure. I guess the question that we have to ask ourselves, and what is worth considering in this process, is, well, one, what does it what does it look like to nip this in the bud, so to speak? And then two, I think also too, what are the expectations or timelines that we have set for this to be solved? And the reason why I ask that is because I think, especially when we're growing families, something that I've noticed, I think, as I even engage in my own current family, and helping out with the nephews and so many different challenges that each kid brings, whether it's just because they're children or it's because of other things that we're growing to learn regarding how they behave and all the things. There's no way that we can ever fully prepare ourselves
True.
for what is to come in regards to how our kids will be, how they'll be reactive, respondent, all the things. And I think what's always going to be better is when we actually, again, we make it out to be, hey, we're a team against this situation. So let's look to cultivate as a team. Let's not make this about a you versus me, or it's either you and your kids or me and my kids. No, if we're going to be in this together, and this is really a big part of blended families, if we're
Sure.
going to be in this together, we have to be on the same page about not necessarily um the timeline of dealing with these things, but are we willing to deal with them together? And then what does that look like? Because I think the timeline thing could easily be something that holds us up further, because we'll tell ourselves, well, we need to have this fixed. And when I say fixed, this doesn't even need to be a problem before we
Sure.
move in together. Here's the issue I have with that, though, is that I think that puts unnecessary pressure on us to deal with something that we're still trying to figure out. And so it causes us to either hurry, maybe abandon ship altogether. It may kind of put us into some anxious movement. And I think instead of that, man, I think it's more of, well, these things, in order for this to really change and grow, it's not going to happen without us experiencing some of these moments. Not to say that we're looking forward to the girl stealing or something along those lines, but if it's not
Sure.
stealing, it's some other behavior, right? And so we can't really prepare for it all. It's more about, one, as these moments show up, can we trust each other to support one another as we
Yep.
figure this out? I think
I love that.
that's the real core question. And I think the way that you learn that of her as you're figuring out, okay, when do we want to move in? I know we have all these desires and that's great. I think we do need to have a sit down conversation and say, hey, so, I just know that there's a lot of different perspectives and things that you're carrying, regarding the latest behaviors of my daughter. And if we're going to live together, and if we're going to really do this thing full on, which I would love to do, I think we have to get on the same page on how you and I, and that's how I would phrase it, you and I as a team are going to move forward in addressing these situations together. Because if we go into this conversation and there isn't any of that, where there's no verbiage or language that suggests that we're a team, then this is something that we might have to start considering. Well, of course, I don't want to just do this because, well, it's better for us to live together and it's better for us to just go ahead and get married, do all the things. So that way, for the sake of the kids, we can we can learn. Yeah. And this is where we make these decisions from alignment and having these sincere conversations, because we can learn to co-parent, and we can learn to co-parent and raise these kids together, and it doesn't have to involve additional chaos because somebody is simply unwilling to navigate with me in these challenges. We're not asking for anyone to be perfect. We're not asking everyone to remain, with these challenges are going to come moments where there's extreme frustration, sadness, hurt, all the things. It's part of raising kids, it's a part of raising families, and it's a part of learning to navigate how we want to take care of each other and engage in that. um, I just think, yeah, I just think we want to be on the same page about supporting one another as a team, and getting as close of a picture as we can on what supporting each other as a team looks like, so that when it comes time, we know what we're coming back to and we know what we're looking at. Hey, this is what we agreed to and this is what we're going to show up as, and we make tweaks along the way. I think that,
I think the last thing that
yeah.
is to have that pressure, to have that moving in, to have that, because of the kid type of mentality, and then get to that place, meaning moving in together, and then it not aligning, and then it not being, you know what I mean, and then it causing all the negatives, which would be resentment, additional stress, pressure, because those things weren't ironed out prior. Those team conversations, the things that you all mentioned, which I think is amazing, and I did note that, by the way, and I think that it is absolutely necessary, because to get to that place under pressure, under a timeline, I guess you would say, like, we got to do all this before the kid's born. We're moving in. We're doing this. We're doing that, and then we get there, and it's like, uh, actually, your kid's only welcome here for a few out, like, and then having those problems. No,
Yeah.
I think that's a terrible idea. Also, not trying to sound negative here, and I don't mean it in that way, but a double standard is completely is completely not cool in this aspect. When it comes to her daughter, and I do it unconditionally, wholeheartedly. I I won't itemize, but I show up for her full on, full on. Like, I don't want to, like, sit here and be like, I take her and do this, I do that. Like, I show up for her, and I don't want a double standard for my children.
Absolutely.
So thank you so much. I really think that you absolutely hit the nail on the head. It's not that I think, like, I know that is exactly, even down to the verbiage of we, you and I, is exactly the way that needs to be navigated, and that's exactly what I'll do. Um, so
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, I love that, and I'll say this last thing because you mentioned it, and I think it's a good point. The double standard can't be had, right? If we're going to integrate a life with someone who has kids, and we have kids, and we're even creating kids together, right? The whole blended family picture. We do need to be accepting of both of our children. Like, if we're going to make this work and, move in marriage and do all the things and move in unity, let's move with unity behavior and, perspectives. And so I do think you want to be, as you're having this conversation, I want you to lead with, if there's anything that you're seeing regarding her behavior that leads you to feel like the double standard is there and that's what you see. I want you to lead more with verbiage and language as you address it, saying, I feel. Like, I feel that I'm showing up for your daughter, and I want to take her in as if she's my own. And I'm not necessarily sure if I see that same sentiment with you towards my daughters fully yet. And I want to be sure that we are able to establish that before we move in together. I feel that's important to
Because
me.
it's a want. It is a want and a choice for her to want that.
Yeah.
Because in the past, she has even acknowledged and both recognized, I love the way that you show up for my daughter.
Mm.
It means the world to me that you show up for my daughter. And the words used were, I don't feel that I have the love for your children because I haven't had the chance to play that role. And I'm not trying to sound mean here, but you've absolutely had that opportunity. But it was your choice to go where you wanted to go with that.
Mm.
I don't want to keep this as an ongoing thing, but just to simplify it all is there cannot be a double standard.
Yeah.
I can't have it. The conversation will be had. The children are going to be life change, or it's a life changing event. And there was even parts of the conversation such as like, maybe this is meant to be. Maybe this will grow us. Maybe this will give us patience. Maybe this will bond us closer together. Hey, I agree. I believe in God. I think it's a gift from God. I believe that, even though it's not planned most
Mm-hmm.
times.
Mm-hmm.
Being honest,
Mm-hmm. Yep.
it's still that. And yes, I agree with all those things. And while I agree with those things, on the same note as that, yes, it could grow us. Yes, it could give this and that. However, we both have to be willing to go to bat together as a team. And let's be honest, we're humans. We're not created perfect. There's times where you, Sean, may say something that I completely disagree with. Or I say something that you're like, nah, man, I don't agree with you, brother. But it's where you meet as a team and say, you know what? I like you, Sean. You're my brother. You know what I mean? Like, or you're like, yeah, I like you, Eli. We're cool. We're gonna meet in the middle as a team and say, this is where we're gonna meet moving forward. And that's what I think has to happen in a relationship. Because if you're like, it's my way or the highway, no, thank you.
Yeah.
That's it. That's all I have to say.
Yeah.
Thank you
No.
so much,
Yeah.
sir.
Absolutely, man. I hope it's helpful. Stay curious, as you're engaging in those conversations, as she maybe puts some pushback. Hey, like tell me more about what you see. Help me understand that. Let's try to get some understanding on that. But yeah, if we are not in a position where we are both accepting of our children and knowing how to team together to engage with both of our children with a great sense and an amount of love, then the move in just doesn't make sense. And let's not rush it. Let's not rush it. Like keep being observant. When the time is right, it will happen, and we don't need to hurry into that. And there might be some other things we want to see before we make that decision. So be in the present with that.
And what I would like to do moving forward is I would also like to potentially, if it's not both, maybe I don't know if that works, if it can work that way with you, but at least if not both, book personal with you to do the 60 minute. And like would you be up for doing like both of us, like if that's agreed upon?
The couple session, is that what you're referring to? Absolutely, yeah. So I have a calendar for couples as well. And so do if you want to do individual first before couples, just book through the link tree at the top of my page, in my bio, and that's the one-on-one call, and we can do that. And then if you just want, hey, I would just rather do the couple session. Maybe I don't necessarily feel like the one-on-one is necessary. Just send me a message. I'll get you the calendar. It's a separate calendar. I don't have it on my link tree, or maybe I could add it. I'll add it on my link tree. That's fine. I'll just add it on my link tree, and it'll be there too. And we can go from there. Absolutely, yeah. And I'm looking forward to seeing you guys on the books, and we'll get some things going.
Yeah, man. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Hey, man, my pleasure. Hope it was helpful. We'll talk soon. All right.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Hey, y'all put a one in the chat for my man Eco in the building. That's a great conversation. Listen, I'll do the best I can with what I got. Okay. I never present myself to be more than I am. I have some awareness to some things regarding parenting, but I do know the heart of it, man. And I think being around a lot of single parents especially in the dating space. I've shared with you guys that I'm back in the dating space and just connecting with people. And, I think it is the utmost important perspective for a single parent to look out for the well-being of their child when dating and when connecting. And if I don't feel that my child is being accepted, loved, or received well by somebody that I'm connected to, there's no way that this relationship is actually going to flourish the way it should. And that doesn't mean that we just are passive and we just do whatever and allow everything. But there is a line of order when it comes to dating and doing relationships healthily, especially as having kids. And we do not need to put our kids in any way, shape, or form on the back burner to bring some kind of dream or desire to reality because of the current situation and what we feel it calls for. I've been around some amazing men. I've been around some amazing leaders, counselors, coaches, being coached currently, mentors. Listen, and they've told me, and we've had a lot of great conversations as they've spoken to other single fathers and parents and people of those sorts. Like, man, there was a day. Yeah, I mean, I can think of a story my mentor and coach gave. I want to say it was recently. He and his wife got married while he was living at his mom's house. And, due to the pressures, she was like, I'm ready to move. I'm ready to have our own space. Understandable. But at the same time, he would recognize and looking back on the situations like, fam, I actually made a decision to try to meet the want of my wife or meet the want of my girl. And it actually put us in further and further, it pushed us further back. It didn't actually advance us. Yes, we had our own spot, but now we're stressing because we may not have enough money for other things. And it's not my story to tell, but it's just like all these additional pressures that came from us making a decision or him mainly feeling like I made a decision to make my wife comfortable. But it really wasn't time. And sometimes we need to have those conversations with someone that we're connected with, we're doing life with, and say, hey, I know that this is what we're wanting, but there's a vision here that we want to be able to cultivate healthily and get on the same page about supporting each other through so that we can actually advance not just to the next stage, but further and create senses of longevity along the way. And so I do think there are some important things to consider in that. And like I said, I'm excited to get them on the books and work with them one on one and couples sessions for sure. All right, so it looks like the crowd is down, and we'll keep it moving. I appreciate you guys so much for being a part of this live stream today. Give it up for yourselves. Round of applause for those of you who have made it all the way through. Those of you who have made it all the way through, I want to hook you up. All right. This is a benefit of you making it through the stream. You book a session and you get one free. All right. Go to the top of my page, book your session, 150. Did I say 150? Yes. Because you invest in what you need. Okay. One conversation that makes a world of difference between where you are and where you're trying to go. So go to the top of the page, go to the link in my bio, click that, book your one-on-one call. You book a session and you get one free. Okay. You book a session, you get one free. One conversation is sometimes all you need to get to where you're wanting to go. And I'm excited to share some space with you and to help you process through these things to get you on the other side. And be sure to also in that same link at the top of my page, click that whether you're on Instagram or TikTok, and get your free relational diagnostic at becoming-secure.com. That is your boy's website. And behind it is a whole app I've created, but you only get access to that if you're a client. All right, I want to hook you up, but we want you to take that free questionnaire first to get you a legitimate relational diagnostic so you know where you are. The first step to really moving in security is to reveal the truth. We got to get comfortable with the truth, with what things are, where they are, so we can move forward and know what we're doing in that process. Okay. If you do that and you complete it, you'll actually get to the end. You'll see a book qualification call. It is a free qualification call. You're going to click that button and fill out those questions. It's like 5-6 remaining questions there, 5-6 remaining questions there. And then, based off of that response and feedback, you'll have your next steps on what program makes the most sense for you to join as part of some coaching and getting you to a healthier place in all areas of your relationship. So be sure to do that. All right. I'm excited to see you on the other side of that as well. More content is coming out. Catch the latest vlog that I just posted yesterday as we're continuing our Dating Securely vlogs. I'm excited about that. And be sure to follow me on all pages. Okay. TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, all same handles, Coach Sean Walker. And I appreciate you for being a part of another show, as we have been here to dedicating our time to building healthier, happier, and whole relationships with ourselves, God, and others, while building security that lasts beyond marriage. Okay. And I'm really excited to see you guys, spend some more time with you guys. We should be going live tomorrow to end the week, a Saturday reset. Come with your questions, come with your thoughts, and we'll talk then. All right. Until then, be easy and be breezy, my friends. Peace. All right. Y'all take it easy.